I'm a little excited about our next guest is an understatement. As a diehard Soprano fan that watched this wonderful show from the start on a carrier in the middle of the ocean to watching it at home with my wife, and even my children now watch it. I mean, my stepson, who's 23, was standing here and we found out we were having this guest on. It was his birthday last Friday. And he's like, I guess I better go watch The Sopranos. I was like, shame on you. Leave my house now that you've never watched this great series. You watch Game of Thrones in a weekend, but not The Sopranos? What's wrong with you? The Sopranos like set the bar for badass TV. So I'm excited for our next guest. Before we bring him on, let's remind you, in case you haven't been, if you haven't been binge watching TV during this last 8 days, it's weird. But here's our next guest, Joe Gannascoli. I screw up Italian people's name all the time. I apologize. It's an Irish thing. But just a refresher, so you remember who our guest is. Here we go, folks. Joe, welcome to the show, my friend.
Love that. Hi, Eric. That was pretty stealth of me. Huh? It took me a while to get
Look at you, like a Marine, just coming up there, just bam.
I should have blacked out and did with a vertical insert.
You should have just rappelled in and just gone out. I mean, the car slowly rolling up and leaving. But great scene. I mean, you're a phenomenal actor. The Sopranos, like I said before, I try not to act like a fanboy, but absolutely love that show. As a veteran, obviously, we all know that, Tony and the great actor that played Tony was a huge advocate for veterans. And even you, I mean, you've done some amazing things for your community since The Sopranos. I just read an amazing article about you donating food to folks. It's fabulous, man. It's great to see folks do that. But we got to talk about The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Well, it's a Sopranos. What was it like being on this amazing show? I mean, you guys are one of the top 10 ever shows with Emmy Awards. And I mean, just a fabulous cast. So kind of tell us what it was like being on such an amazing show.
Well, at the beginning, really, no one really knew what we were part of until I'd say toward the end of the first season and definitely going into the second, where everybody was buzzing talking about it, especially my friends. And, it's like being part of history. 27 Yankees, the 85 Bears, you're part of something special. And the hardest challenges are hoping that you could make it to the next episode without getting killed. So that's always, I lasted 41 episodes at 39. The thing about me, Eric, is that I was the only one to play two different roles, two different characters. From the first season, the bakery scene, I played Gino in a bakery trying to get my bread when Michael shoots the clerk in the foot, like a little homage to Goodfellas. And he throws me out of the bakery. And he brought me back as Vito, which was pretty cool.
That was unique, right? It's now you see TV shows starting to do that, right? You've seen some great shows later down the line, like Sons of Anarchy and others kind of bring folks back from season one where they were just kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say it's like a throwaway scene, but like they were just in the scene and you're like, wasn't he? I mean, I even noticed that I've been watching, I said this before you came on, we've been binge watching, besides The Sopranos, we've been binge watching The West Wing, which I think is a fabulous show. Amazing actors, right? But you see like season one, somebody's just kind of in the background and all of a sudden 4 seasons later, and I'm like, you know who started that? It all kind of goes back to, you guys led the way. If you think about The Sopranos, utter violence. I mean, come on. I mean, you guys led, come on. It was, and you're right. Every week you were like, who the hell's going to die? Is it going to be somebody we like? Because they kept bringing on big names and big faces, and you were a boss, right? So you're kind of like, who are these guys going to kill? You're always wondering who's getting whacked, especially as we went further into the seasons and kept going episode after episode. You were just, and those last few episodes, I mean, what was it like when you signed up? Let's ask that question. It's a big one that a lot of people wanted me to ask you. What was it like being done? Like your final scene, you're done, and knowing that you're going to be there.
Of course, it's a sad, you want to last until the end, but it is a mob show. So, that week to week, it's very iffy. Considering what I had done, I was on walking the plank, so to speak. But I try to talk David out of it. I've lasted to maybe the 11th episode of the first part of the last season, because there was 2 parts, A and B. And all said and done, I had a good run. And what made it even more was when they brought me back as Vito, I got to kill Jackie Jr., which was a big thing. But I had the idea of making my character gay from a book I was reading about a mobster that was. And I said, look, brought it to the attention of the writers. I said, this would be interesting. I don't think, it's never been done, especially in a mob show. And thank God they went with it, changed my life. And of course, it was, for me, it was show that I could act. I mean, because being a knock around, mob type, I'm from Brooklyn. I see those guys, growing up. So that was kind of easy. But doing what I did, took a little cojones, no pun intended.
I did love it, and you did have the best. You did get to knock off the guy that everybody wanted knocked off. Come on, I mean, if you want to talk about a guy who needed to be knocked up,
well, all the guys did, not the girls.
Yeah. But anyways, let me ask you this, and 2 questions, and I promise I'll let you go for the weekend. But here's my question for you: growing up in Brooklyn, right? You're an Italian guy. Being an actor is obviously different than, of course, your friends on the other side who could be part of organized crime, right? So. You ever run into any of those guys? Just out of curiosity, did they come up to you and like, hey, you did a good job, you're accurate? I mean, how do they feel, right? You did have this controversial side of you. Obviously, that's the number one thing when you go search. People bring it up how controversial it was, but how awesome it was, how the Sopranos always pushed the limit. Did you have anybody come up and say anything like good job, or did you get like hate mail over it?
So I grew up in Brooklyn, Gravesend and Bensonhurst and Bay Ridge. I was a chef before an actor, and I had very popular restaurants where it was very busy, big girl hangout. Wherever there's girls, there's mob guys. But even before I became a chef, I saw guys growing up, so I knew those guys, and I knew real guys that want to be. And when I started the role, I could pretty much tell that they were watching it. Not many of them came up to me, and said anything. But then when my gay role came up, a couple of them, their attitude changed and they weren't, happy with it. And I had a few run-ins with a couple of guys that, I said, hey, what do you want? It's, this happens. It's in every walk of life. Why not the mob? So, right. But, for the most part, they were like, I don't know who's writing this stuff, but it's pretty much on the money. So it was for the most part they liked it, and once they get their approval, it's the real deal.
Well said. Once you get their approval, that's the approval that you really want. At the end of the day, you don't want to make those guys upset with you. I definitely agree with you there. So let me ask you this final question. Read this article. I mentioned it earlier when we started this interview. You've been going out and doing some amazing stuff with the community. As we all know, across the nation, New York State and the New York area has just been slammed with COVID-19. I have a brother. It's in Soho. He's been stuck there for the last 8 weeks, and I know it's awesome to see faces like yours out in the community and doing things you've been doing. Tell the folks a little bit what you've been doing personally out in the community, because you should be commended for it. It's awesome to see, you taking the time out of your life to go take care of others.
Well, first off, before I get to that, your brother being stuck in Soho, there could be worse places, first of all. So my sister-in-law works in a labor and delivery in Long Island, South Nassau. And hearing stories, what they were going through with pregnant women coming in and they having a rough time of it. And I wanted to support the restaurants in my neighborhood and also bring food to those people. And it sort of mushroomed and people started finding out about it. Now I'm up to around 19,000, 19 and change. I started with 2,500, 19. Today, as we speak, I just brought lunch to a nursery home and then to a Winthrop hospital. So it was 2 different places. People keep getting in touch with me. I hate saying no, as long as I could keep raising money, but I did it for the police offices, fire departments, post offices, nursing homes, sanitation, everybody in my neighborhood that's out there, the essential workers. And, my wife is worried because I'm out there and obviously, I could stand to lose a few pounds. I'm a cigar smoker, but I am very cautious. I got my Padre Pio bracelet on. And the more as long as I keep making money to like get the food and bring to them, I'll keep doing it. I've been to the Bronx, Staten Island. Someone wanted me to do it in Manhattan. I'm going to see if I can do that, but I have more places in Long Island. I did 2 today. I got to go back and do a night shift to one of the nursing homes because, you bring it for lunch and then they get the night crew gets leftovers. But I'll keep going as long as I have the money. Least I could do, as I say, I do it because they can. They're the real heroes. And, that's the way I feel about it.
I love that. Joe, that is stand up to do what you're doing, my friend. Just 100%. And you're right about my brother. Being trapped in Soho isn't that bad. I mean, he's by probably 3 of my favorite places in all of Manhattan is right by where his house is. I mean, literally, he's like 2 blocks from Joe's Pizza. That was in the Spider-Man movies, like one of the best places to get a slice. He's right down from Lombardi's, which was the first pizzeria, period. So he's not struggling too hard. He has takeout, and he's in New York with the best food on the planet. But Joe, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you what you're doing for everybody out there. It's so awesome that you're taking the time out of your life to go make sure others are taken care of. Again, it shows how great America is. I absolutely love this country. I'm proud to have served it. We have a lot of veterans on our show, so we thank guys like you that are out there stepping up and taking care of others and, answering the call. So thank you, Joe, so much for coming on. So
thank you. If they could follow me or go to my Twitter, Joe Gannascoli on Twitter, and donate to the fund. $5. I've had people donate 5,000, thousands, whatever they can. It doesn't matter. It all goes to keep me going.
I love it. That's what we're gonna have people go do. We'll put this out there. So if you're watching, you were just told. I mean, come on. He was a boss, and come on, he was a soprano. You gotta go donate. It's a good cause, and there you go. So Joe, thank you so much, my friend, for coming on. We appreciate you greatly. It's been an honor to chat with you. Thank you for your great work you did on The Sopranos. I'm telling you, this is an honor.
Thank you for your service, Eric.
Oh, no problem, my friend. Thank you. You have a great weekend, my friend. Go Giants.
You too. Yes.
Thanks. Talk to you soon. Okay.